The sun was setting over the quiet neighborhood, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. People were heading home after a long day, some tired, some smiling, all lost in their own thoughts. Near a small park, a little boy sat in a wheelchair, his eyes fixed on the other kids playing. He wished he could join them, but his legs didn't work like theirs. His mother stood beside him, her hand resting gently on his shoulder, trying to hide her own sadness. Just across the street, a sleek black car pulled up. The doors opened, and out stepped a well-dressed man, someone the locals recognized instantly. He was a millionaire, known not just for his wealth but for his kindness. He often visited this part of town, helping where he could. Today, he had come to donate new equipment to the park so that children of all abilities could play together. As he walked toward the park, something unexpected happened. A stray dog, scruffy and thin, had been watching from a distance. It wasn't an ordinary dog, there was something different about the way it moved, the way its eyes seemed to understand things most animals wouldn't. The dog had been roaming the streets for months, surviving on scraps, avoiding people. But today, it didn't run away. Instead, it slowly walked toward the millionaire and the boy in the wheelchair. The boy noticed the dog first. His face lit up with excitement. "Look, Mom." "A dog," he said, pointing. The millionaire turned and smiled. He loved animals and often donated to shelters. But before anyone could react, the dog did something no one expected. It gently nudged the boy's leg with its nose, then looked up at him with eyes full of warmth. The boy laughed, a sound so pure it made his mother's heart swell. The millionaire watched, intrigued. The dog then did something even more surprising. It picked up a small stick in its mouth and dropped it at the boy's feet, wagging its tail. The boy's mother gasped. He wants to play with you," she whispered. The boy, who had never been able to play fetch like other kids, hesitated before slowly bending forward. With shaky hands, he picked up the stick and threw it as far as he could. The dog sprinted after it, bringing it back and dropping it again. The boy laughed harder this time, his face glowing with joy. The millionaire stood there, completely still. He had seen many things in his life, but this was different. A stray dog, ignored by most, had just done what no human had managed to do in years. It made this disabled child forget his struggles, even if just for a moment. As the dog continued playing with the boy, the millionaire made a decision. He wasn't just going to donate equipment to the park. He was going to change this boy's life, and the dog's, forever. Little did anyone know, this was only the beginning of a story that would touch thousands of hearts. The boy's laughter filled the air as the dog kept bringing back the stick, tail wagging wildly. His mother wiped away a tear, watching her son, usually so quiet and withdrawn, light up with pure joy. The millionaire, still standing nearby, felt something shift inside him. He had donated to hospitals, built playgrounds, and funded medical research, but none of it had ever felt as real as this moment. He stepped closer, crouching down to the boy's eye level. "What's your name, champ?" he asked gently. The boy hesitated, glancing at his mother before answering. "They call me Sonny," he said softly. The millionaire smiled. "That's a perfect name for you." He reached out to pet the dog, who surprisingly didn't shy away. "And what about this little hero here? Does he have a name?" Sonny shook his head. "He's a stray. I see him sometimes, but he never comes close, until today." The dog nudged Sonny's hand with its wet nose, as if agreeing. The millionaire studied the animal. Its fur was matted, ribs slightly visible, but its eyes were bright and full of intelligence. There was something special about this dog. Sonny's mother finally spoke, her voice quiet but warm. "He's never reacted to anyone like this before. Most strays run away, but this one, it's like he understands." The millionaire nodded. "Some animals just know when someone needs them." He paused, then made a decision. Would it be alright if I helped get this dog checked out? Maybe cleaned up and fed properly? Sonny's eyes widened. You'd do that? Of course, the millionaire said. And if it's okay with your mom, maybe he could even visit you sometimes. Sonny looked at his mother with hopeful eyes. She hesitated. Life was already hard enough, and a dog was one more responsibility. But seeing her son's face, she couldn't say no. We'll see, she said softly, ruffling Sonny's hair. The millionaire stood up, pulling out his phone. Within minutes, his assistant was on the way with a pet carrier and supplies. As they waited, he struck up a conversation with Sonny's mother. If you don't mind me asking, he said carefully, what's Sonny's condition? She sighed, her grip tightening slightly on Sonny's wheelchair. He was born with a rare muscle disorder. The doctors say he'll never walk. We've tried treatments, but we don't have the money for the kind of care that might help. The millionaire listened, his expression unreadable. He had heard stories like this before, but now, standing in front of this bright-eyed boy and his weary but loving mother, it hit differently. Just then, his assistant arrived with the carrier. The dog, surprisingly calm, allowed itself to be checked over and gently placed inside. Sonny reached out, scratching its ears one last time. You're gonna be okay, he whispered. As the millionaire prepared to leave, he turned back to Sonny's mother. I'd like to help. Not just with the dog. With Sonny. She blinked in surprise. What do you mean? There are specialists, experimental therapies. I'd like to cover whatever he needs. Her hands trembled. That's too much. We can't accept. Please, the millionaire interrupted gently. Let me do this. Not out of pity, but because today, that dog reminded me what real happiness looks like. And I want Sonny to have more of it. Tears welled in her eyes. She looked at Sonny, who was still watching the dog being loaded into the car, his face full of hope. After a long pause, she nodded. Thank you. The millionaire smiled. I'll be in touch soon. As his car drove away, Sonny's mother knelt beside him, hugging him tightly. Things might get better, baby, she whispered. Sonny, still staring at the road where the car had disappeared, simply said, I think the dog knew. Knew what? He grinned. Knew today was gonna be a good day. Little did they know, this was just the beginning. The millionaire's car pulled up to a high-end veterinary clinic, one usually reserved for prized show dogs and pampered pets. The scruffy stray, now sitting quietly in the carrier, peered out with curious eyes. The staff exchanged glances. This wasn't the kind of animal they usually treated. But when they saw who had brought him in, they quickly snapped into action. The vet, a kind-faced woman with sharp eyes, examined the dog carefully. As she worked, she frowned. This dog has been through a lot, she murmured. Malnourished, a few old scars, but what's interesting is his behavior. Most strays would be terrified or aggressive in a new place. But this one? He's calm. Almost like he's been here before. The millionaire leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Think he belonged to someone once? The vet nodded. Possibly. And not just anyone, look at his reactions. She held up a stethoscope, and instead of flinching, the dog sat still, allowing her to listen to his heartbeat. A dog this well-mannered was either trained very young, or had an owner who spent a lot of time with him. Meanwhile, the assistant had been scanning the dog for a microchip. Suddenly, the machine beeped. He's chipped, the assistant said in surprise. The millionaire straightened up. Run it. A few clicks later, a name and address flashed on the screen. The vet's expression changed. This dog didn't just belong to someone, he was lost. Earlier that day, Sonny's home. Sonny couldn't stop talking about the dog. His mother smiled as she cooked dinner, listening to him replay every moment. He just knew I wanted to play. And then the millionaire took him to get help. Do you think he'll come back? Before she could answer, a knock sounded at the door. A neighbor stood there, looking uneasy. I just heard from my sister who works at the clinic, that dog you saw today? They found his owner. Sonny's face fell. His mother's heart ached at the sudden disappointment in his eyes. Oh, that's good, she said softly, though her voice lacked enthusiasm. The neighbor hesitated. Thing is, it's old information. The owner listed on the chip, well, she passed away a year ago. Sonny's mother frowned. Then who has the dog now? The neighbor shook her head. No one. He's been on his own ever since. Back at the clinic. The millionaire stared at the name on the screen, Eleanor Hartley. A quick search on his phone revealed an obituary. An elderly woman, lived alone, no surviving family. The dog's name was Buddy. So he did have a home, the millionaire murmured. He looked at Buddy, who was now resting on the examination table, exhausted but content after a proper meal. The vet sighed. Poor thing must have been waiting for her to come back. Dogs don't understand death. They just know their person is gone. The millionaire rubbed his temples. What happens to him now? Since there's no next of kin, he'll go to a shelter, the vet said. But given his temperament, he'll probably get adopted quickly. The millionaire shook his head. No. He's not going to a shelter. The vet raised an eyebrow. You're keeping him? Not me, the millionaire said. I know exactly where he belongs. The next morning, Sonny's surprise. Sonny was eating breakfast when another knock came. This time, it was the millionaire himself, standing on their doorstep with a leash in his hand, and Buddy, now clean, groomed, and wearing a new collar. Sonny's eyes widened. You brought him back? The millionaire smiled. Turns out, Buddy here did have a family once. But not anymore. And I think, he's been waiting for you. Sonny's mother looked stunned. You're giving him to us? If you'll have him, the millionaire said. He's healthy, vaccinated, and house-trained. And, he reached into his pocket, pulling out a folded paper. This is a fund for anything Buddy might need. Food, vet visits, whatever. Sonny's mother opened her mouth to protest, but the millionaire held up a hand. No arguments. Some things are just meant to be. Sonny, trembling with excitement, reached out. Buddy trotted straight to him, licking his fingers as if he'd known him forever. The millionaire watched, satisfaction warming his chest. But his mind was already racing ahead. This was just the first step. Because he hadn't just come to bring Buddy back. He'd come with news. News that could change Sonny's life forever. Sonny couldn't stop grinning as Buddy settled beside his wheelchair, resting his head on the boy's lap. His mother watched them, her heart full but her mind racing. The millionaire hadn't just brought them a dog, he had brought them hope. And now, he stood in their small living room, about to say something that would change everything. The millionaire cleared his throat. There's more. He pulled out a business card and placed it on the table. This is a specialist, one of the best in the world for conditions like Sonny's. Sonny's mother picked it up, fingers trembling. We've seen doctors before. They all said the same thing, that he'll never walk. This doctor is different, the millionaire said firmly. He's been working on experimental treatments. And before you ask, yes, I've already spoken to him. He's willing to see Sonny immediately. Sonny, who had been quietly listening, suddenly spoke up. Will it hurt? The millionaire knelt in front of him, meeting his eyes. There might be some hard days. But if it works, you could have a chance to stand on your own. Maybe even run. Sonny's breath hitched. Run. He had never even taken a single step in his life. The idea was so big, so impossible, that his eyes welled up. His mother wiped her own tears, but her voice was steady. "What's the catch?" The millionaire sighed. "No catch. But I won't lie, it's not guaranteed. The treatment is new. There are risks." Silence filled the room. Buddy, sensing the tension, nuzzled Sonny's hand. Sonny's mother looked at her son, then at the millionaire. "Why are you doing this?" He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was quieter. "Because when I saw that dog run to your son like he'd been waiting for him, I realized something. Some people spend their whole lives waiting for a miracle. But sometimes, miracles need a little help." The decision. That night, Sonny's mother couldn't sleep. She sat at the kitchen table, staring at the doctor's card. She had spent years protecting Sonny, shielding him from pain. Now, she had to choose: leave his life as it was, safe but unchanging, or take a risk that could either break him or set him free. A soft whine made her turn. Buddy stood in the doorway, watching her. Then, to her surprise, he walked over and dropped something at her feet. It was Sonny's favorite toy, a small, worn-out ball. She picked it up, turning it in her hands. Buddy nudged her knee with his nose, his eyes deep and knowing. It felt like a sign. The next morning, Sonny's mother called the millionaire. "We'll do it." 2 weeks later, the first appointment. The hospital was nothing like the ones Sonny had been to before. It was bright, modern, filled with smiling staff. The millionaire met them at the entrance, but Sonny barely noticed. He was too busy clutching Buddy's leash. The doctors had allowed the dog to come, calling him an emotional support animal. The specialist, a tall man with a gentle smile, examined Sonny carefully. After hours of tests, he finally sat down with Sonny's mother. "The good news is, Sonny's condition is treatable," he said. "But it won't be easy. It'll take months of therapy, surgeries, and hard work. And even then, there's no promise." She swallowed hard. "What's the bad news?" The doctor hesitated. "The bad news is, it will hurt. There will be days he'll want to give up. And he'll need someone, something, to keep him fighting." Just then, a laugh echoed from the other room. The doctor gestured for her to look. Sonny was on the floor, giggling as Buddy licked his face, tail wagging wildly. The doctor smiled. "I think he already has that." The first challenge. The treatment started the next week. Painful injections. Hours of exercises that left Sonny exhausted and in tears. Some days, he screamed in frustration, begging to stop. His mother's heart shattered each time, but she held firm. And through it all, Buddy never left his side. When Sonny cried, the dog rested his head on his lap. When he struggled through physical therapy, Buddy walked beside him, as if guiding him. And when Sonny wanted to quit, Buddy would bring him that same old ball, dropping it just out of reach, taunting him to move. And Sonny, despite the pain, would laugh and try. A glimpse of hope. One evening, after weeks of struggle, Sonny's mother walked into his room and froze. Sonny was standing. Not with support. Not for a second. Standing. Buddy was in front of him, tail wagging furiously, as if cheering him on. Sonny's legs shook, his face tight with effort, but he was up. His mother burst into tears. Sonny grinned. "Look, Mom. I'm tall." And then, for the first time in his life, he took a step. Sonny's first step sent shockwaves through his small world. His mother cried. The doctors celebrated. Even the millionaire, usually composed, had to look away for a moment to collect himself. But no one was prouder than Buddy, who barked excitedly and circled Sonny like he was the most important person in the world. Yet, progress wasn't easy. Every step was a battle. Some days, Sonny's legs refused to cooperate. Other days, the pain made him sob into his mother's arms. But Buddy never let him quit. The dog would nudge him, lick his face, or drop his favorite toy just out of reach, forcing Sonny to try again. One evening, after a particularly grueling session, Sonny lay on the floor, exhausted. Buddy curled up beside him, resting his head on the boy's chest. "You're the best friend I ever had," Sonny whispered. Buddy's tail thumped once, as if to say, "I know." The Millionaire's secret. The Millionaire visited often, always bringing gifts, new braces for Sonny, books, even a special harness so Buddy could walk right beside the wheelchair. But Sonny's mother noticed something strange. Every time the Millionaire looked at Sonny, there was something in his eyes, something deeper than kindness. Almost like regret. One night, after Sonny had fallen asleep, she confronted him. "Why are you really doing all this?" she asked quietly. The Millionaire hesitated. Then, with a heavy sigh, he pulled out an old photograph. It showed a young boy in a wheelchair, smiling beside a dog. A very familiar-looking dog. Sonny's mother gasped. "Is that Buddy?" The Millionaire nodded. "That boy was my brother." The truth unfolds. Years ago, the Millionaire's younger brother had the same condition as Sonny. Back then, treatments were even scarcer, hope even thinner. But they had one thing, a dog named Buddy, who never left his side. "My brother loved that dog more than anything," the Millionaire said, voice rough. He used to say Buddy understood him in a way no one else did. Sonny's mother sat down, stunned. "What happened?" The Millionaire's jaw tightened. "He died. And after, Buddy disappeared. We searched for months, but he was just gone." He looked toward Sonny's room. "Until I saw him with your son." A long silence stretched between them. "You think this is fate?" she whispered. The Millionaire shook his head. "I think Buddy was waiting. For someone who needed him as much as my brother did." A new fear. The next morning, Sonny practiced walking between parallel bars, Buddy trotting beside him like a tiny coach. But as the Millionaire watched, his phone buzzed, a call from the vet. His face went pale. Buddy was sick. Not just sick, dying. The vet explained that the years on the streets, the malnutrition, had taken a toll. His heart was failing. He might only have weeks left. The Millionaire hung up, devastated. How could he tell Sonny? After everything, how could he take this away from him? But as he turned, he saw something that stopped him cold. Buddy was lying down, breathing heavily, but his eyes were fixed on Sonny, who was laughing as he took another wobbly step. The dog's tail wagged weakly. And in that moment, the Millionaire understood. Buddy wasn't afraid. He was ready. The storm before the calm. That night, a fever spiked in Sonny. His tiny body, pushed to its limits, finally rebelled. The doctors rushed him into care, his mother clutching his hand. Buddy, too weak to follow, whined at the door. The Millionaire knelt beside him. "It's okay, boy. You've done enough." But Buddy refused to rest. As the night wore on, he paced, panting, ears straining for any sound of Sonny. Then, just before dawn, he let out a single, sharp bark, and collapsed. The Millionaire scooped him up, heart pounding. This couldn't be how it ended. Not now. Not when Sonny was so close. The hospital room was too quiet. Sonny lay still under crisp white sheets, his small face flushed with fever. Machines beeped softly, their wires snaking around him like lifelines. His mother sat beside him, gripping his hand, her eyes red-rimmed from hours of silent crying. The doctors had called it a setback, his body overwhelmed by the aggressive treatments. But Sonny's mother knew the truth. He wasn't fighting anymore. Not since they told him Buddy was sick. Across the room, the Millionaire stood by the window, staring at the rain-streaked glass. His usual confidence had crumbled. For all his wealth, all his connections, he couldn't fix this. A soft knock interrupted the silence. The vet stepped in, her expression grim. "Buddy's stabilized, for now," she said quietly. "But his heart is failing. Without surgery, he won't last the week." Sonny's mother sucked in a breath. "Surgery? It's risky. And expensive." The vet hesitated. "Even if it works, he's an old dog. It might only buy him a little more time." The millionaire didn't hesitate. "Do it." But Sonny's mother stood abruptly. "No." Both turned to her in surprise. Her hands shook as she spoke. "You can't keep doing this, giving him hope just to rip it away. First the treatments, now Buddy. What happens when it's not enough?" Her voice broke. "He can't lose that dog. Not after everything." The millionaire crossed the room in 3 strides. "Then what's your solution? Give up?" "I'm protecting him." A weak voice cut through the tension. "Buddy?" Sonny was awake, his glassy eyes searching theirs. "Where's Buddy?" The adults froze. It was the vet who finally answered, gentle but firm. "He's fighting, Sonny. Just like you." She took his small hand. "But he needs you to fight too." Sonny's lips trembled. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, with effort, he turned his head toward the millionaire. "Can I see him?" The reunion. They broke a dozen hospital rules. Buddy, wrapped in a blanket, was carried into Sonny's room, his breathing labored but his tail thumping weakly at the sight of the boy. Sonny reached out with trembling arms. The moment Buddy's head touched his chest, the boy burst into tears. "You promised," he whispered into the dog's fur. "You promised you'd stay." Buddy licked his chin once, a silent apology. A plea. And in that moment, something shifted. Sonny's mother watched, stunned, as her son took a shuddering breath, and pushed himself upright. Not with help. Not slowly. Like he was refusing to let either of them give up. The millionaire's phone buzzed. A text from the surgeon. "We're ready. Now or never." He met Sonny's mother's eyes. This time, she nodded. The choice. As they prepped Buddy for surgery, the millionaire pulled Sonny's mother aside. "There's something you should know," he said quietly. "The surgery, it's not just for Buddy." She frowned. "What do you mean?" He handed her a folded paper, a medical research grant, dated years ago. The title made her gasp. Canine-assisted neurological recovery in pediatric patients. "My brother's doctor theorized it," the millionaire said. "That Buddy didn't just comfort him, he healed him, in ways we couldn't measure. That's why I've funded this research for years." His voice dropped. "And why saving Buddy might be the key to saving Sonny." She stared at him, realization dawning. This was never just about kindness. It was about redemption. The longest night. The waiting room clock ticked louder with every passing minute. Sonny, too weak to stay awake, slept fitfully in his wheelchair, his fingers still curled as if holding Buddy's fur. His mother paced. The millionaire stared at his hands. Then, the operating room doors swung open. The surgeon's mask was still on when he stepped into the waiting room, his eyes unreadable. Sonny's mother stood so fast her chair clattered to the floor. The millionaire didn't breathe. Then, the surgeon smiled. He made it. A sob tore from Sonny's mother's throat. The millionaire gripped the wall for support as the surgeon continued, his heart stable. Weak, but stable. With proper care, he could have months. Maybe even a year. Months. Not forever. But enough. Sonny, now awake, clapped his hands with a strength that surprised everyone. I knew he wouldn't leave me. The unexpected turn. Recovery wasn't smooth. Buddy woke groggy and disoriented, a long scar stitched across his chest. Sonny, still feverish but determined, refused to rest unless Buddy's bed was wheeled next to his. The doctors warned them, the dog was fragile. Sonny was fragile. Neither was out of the woods. But then, something miraculous happened. The morning after Buddy's surgery, a nurse walked in to find Sonny standing at Buddy's bedside, one small hand resting on the dog's head. No wheelchair. No support. Just a boy and his dog. He licked my hand and I had to get up, Sonny explained, as if it were that simple. The millionaire, witnessing this, felt a chill. It's happening. The connection between boy and dog wasn't just emotional, it was physical. Buddy's presence was triggering Sonny's nervous system in ways medicine couldn't. The millionaire's confession. That night, the millionaire sat with Sonny's mother in the hospital cafeteria. I need to tell you something, he said. My brother, he started walking again, too. Right before he died. She stiffened. What are you saying? I'm saying Buddy isn't just a dog. He pushed a file toward her, decades of research on animal-assisted healing. Dogs like him? They're rare. They don't just comfort people, they activate something in them. My theory is that Buddy knew Sonny needed him, just like he knew my brother did. She stared at the papers, then at him. You're telling me this now? Because we're running out of time. His voice cracked. Buddy's older than he should be. The vet thinks, he's been holding on for this. For Sonny. The implication hung between them. What happens when he lets go? The gift. 2 weeks later, Sonny took his first unassisted steps across the hospital garden, Buddy trotting proudly beside him. The staff cheered. His mother wept. The millionaire filmed it, sending the video to every researcher he knew. But that night, Buddy collapsed again. This time, the vet didn't mention surgery. Sonny, sensing the shift, curled up next to Buddy on his dog bed. You can rest now, he whispered. I'm strong enough. Buddy licked his cheek once. And closed his eyes. The final morning. When the sun rose, Buddy didn't. His chest still rose and fell, but his breathing was shallow. The vet confirmed it, his heart was giving out. Sonny, astonishingly, didn't cry. He sat cross-legged beside Buddy, stroking his ears. It's okay, he said. You can go see the boy in the photo. Tell him I said thank you. The millionaire, hearing this, broke down in the hallway. The last miracle. They expected Buddy to slip away quietly. Instead, as Sonny leaned down to hug him one last time, Buddy's tail thumped. His eyes opened, clear and bright. And with a sudden, impossible burst of strength, he stood. Sonny gasped as Buddy nudged him backward, toward his wheelchair. What's he doing? His mother asked. The millionaire understood first. He's saying goodbye his way. Buddy waited until Sonny was seated. Then, with deliberate slowness, he walked across the room. And brought Sonny his shoes. A silent command, keep going. 5 minutes later, as Sonny held him and whispered goodbye, Buddy sighed, and let go. The aftermath. The millionaire offered to handle the arrangements. Sonny asked for one thing, can we bury him where he found me? So he can watch over other kids like us. That afternoon, as they laid Buddy to rest near the park bench where their story began, something unexpected happened. A scrawny stray, a young dog with familiar eyes, wandered up and sat beside Sonny's wheelchair. Sonny smiled through tears. Hi, Buddy. And the cycle began again. Sonny stood at the edge of the park, his sneakers pressing into the damp grass. No wheelchair. No braces. Just a walking stick for balance, one he barely needed anymore. The morning sun warmed his face as he knelt beside a small, polished stone under the old oak tree. Buddy. The dog who taught me to walk. Behind him, the millionaire watched silently. He wasn't in a tailored suit today, just simple clothes, his hands stuffed in his pockets. A lot had changed in a year. Sonny placed a fresh tennis ball by the headstone, the same kind Buddy used to fetch for him. "I still miss you," he whispered. A wet nose nudged his elbow. Sonny laughed as the young stray, now called Buddy too by everyone in the neighborhood, dropped a stick at his feet. This dog was different from the first Buddy, more playful, less wise, but the way he looked at Sonny? That was the same. "Ready for your big day?" the millionaire asked, ruffling Sonny's hair. Sonny grinned. "Yeah. But I'm kinda nervous." A crowd had gathered at the park's new entrance, where a bronze statue stood covered by a tarp. Reporters, doctors, families with disabled children, they'd all come to see what the millionaire had been quietly building for months. Sonny's mother squeezed his hand as the millionaire stepped up to the microphone. "A year ago," he said, voice rough, "a dying dog taught me something. He taught me that miracles don't always come from medicine. Sometimes they come from love." He nodded at Sonny. "Show them, champ." Sonny took a deep breath, then walked to the tarp and pulled the cord. The crowd gasped. The statue wasn't just of Buddy. It was Buddy and Sonny, the dog mid-stride, the boy's small hand resting on his back, both frozen in motion. At the base, engraved in stone, were two words. The millionaire wasn't done. "This park is now the first of many," he announced. "Every city will have one, a place where therapy dogs and kids like Sonny can heal together." He paused. "And starting today, my foundation will cover all medical costs for children with mobility disorders." Sonny's mother burst into tears. The crowd erupted in applause. But Sonny? He was staring at something, or someone, at the back of the crowd. An elderly woman in a wheelchair, her eyes locked on the statue. And beside her, a golden retriever wearing a service vest. Sonny tugged the millionaire's sleeve. "Who's that?" The millionaire's face softened. "That's Dr. Eleanor Hartley. Buddy's first owner." Dr. Hartley wheeled herself forward, her dog by her side. Up close, Sonny could see she was crying. "I thought I'd lost him forever," she whispered, touching the statue. "But he was out there, saving you." Sonny knelt beside her chair. "He saved lots of people. He just didn't know it yet." The old woman cupped Sonny's face. Then, to everyone's shock, she said, "He picked you for a reason. Not just to help you walk." She pointed at Buddy too, who was playfully stealing a reporter's hat. "Now you know how to see them." That evening, as the sun set, Sonny sat on his old park bench, the one where his life had changed forever. Buddy too flopped across his feet, chewing contentedly on the stolen hat. The millionaire sat beside him. "What's next, Sonny?" Sonny scratched Buddy two's ears. "I'm gonna help dogs find kids who need them. Like you helped me." The millionaire smiled. "You know, my brother would have loved you." Somewhere in the distance, a breeze rustled the leaves around Buddy's grave, and for a second, Sonny could have sworn he heard the faint jingle of a dog collar. But maybe that was just the wind. Or maybe